Hi, welcome to the Recruiting Analytics channel. Today we're going to dig into another topic that I think has gotten a lot of attention over the last few months. What is the impact of AI in HR? Now, we've covered this a lot in some of the previous videos showing different use cases for ChatGPT in recruiting, but actually what I want to do is go a little bit deeper today and look at one of the new technologies, Autogen. I think this is a really exciting time and an exciting project because it shows how, as a human, you can actually empower yourself more by leveraging different AI technologies, not to replace yourself, but actually to improve the output of your work. And so we're going to dig into that subject today.
We're going to take a look at Autogen and how we could potentially apply that into HR use cases. But I think we want to start by looking at the evolution of generative AI and really where it's come from. And I think we can trace it back to the release of ChatGPT, which really gave everyone access to these models using a simple chatbot interface. I think that evolved a little bit with the introduction of AutoGPT. If you're not familiar with AutoGPT, it's essentially a way to combine a whole bunch of different functions together to do more than just the standard kind of question and answer interface that ChatGPT enables. Although ChatGPT is actually adding more and more of these features, the actual functionality of AutoGPT is higher, although the learning curve is obviously much steeper as well. You need some coding capabilities. More recently, I was taking a look at a new product, a relatively new product called ChatDev. And what this does is actually simulates a software company. And what you can do is install this on your machine and actually use it to make games, pretty basic applications. And you can see how it has a kind of like series of different departments, and it's kind of like pre-coded that way. I think you can edit the approach and actually build your own startup using this kind of interface. What really caught my eye recently is Microsoft's Autogen announcement. So you can see this was published on September 25th. So it's been around for so this has been around for about a month. But I think what's really exciting about this is how quickly you can actually get up and running with Autogen. Now, the way that it effectively works is you develop a series of different agents or bots that you interact with, and you can have them interact autonomously, or you can actually have them interact with a human in the loop. I think that use case is much more interesting for me for a number of reasons. One, it actually gives you more control over what the agents are doing, but two, it actually gives you that kind of interaction. And so you understand what's going on. It's not just a black box where you throw a bunch of things into a model and then look at the output and you're unsure as to whether that's right or wrong. So as we take a quick look at what Autogen So if we look at the Autogen announcement, what you can see is there are a number of different use cases that they have developed. And I think this is the one that we are kind of interested in, where you have a bot that's writing code, a bot that is checking that code, and then a commander or a manager that's managing the interaction between these two bots, and a user which will ask the question and get the final answer in the end. Now, there's a number of different ways that you can utilize this, but I thought it'd be really interesting to take a look at the potential use cases within HR, as that's something we've been focused on for quite a while now. And I thought I would take our most popular video. So I recorded this almost a year ago, and it's had quite a few views. It's the most on our channel, but it's to do with forecasting recruiting capacity, and this may be relevant right now as a lot of people are planning 2024 headcount. So I thought, could we and so I thought let's test and see if we can reproduce what we can generate from a model here using a multi-agent chatbot interface with Autogen. Now, the output that I generated, and it's freely available for anyone to use, is this Google spreadsheet template. I don't think we're going to get this far. I don't know. So I don't think we're actually going to generate a spreadsheet here. I did experiment for a while, and I just didn't really get get around to actually installing something that would generate a spreadsheet. Really, we just want to understand the capabilities of this system to see if it can actually replicate any of the things that we have to do manually currently. And so the way that we're going to set it up is we're going to use this basic mode. This is the way that Microsoft describes it in their official user documents, where you have an agent, an assistant, a proxy for the user where you actually can input into the discussion, and a group chat manager. And essentially all these things combine together to actually help you create whatever you need to create or answer whatever question you need to answer. But a more simple way of looking at it is thinking about it like this: is you have your human. This is the person who is really controlling the overall mission of the team. And then you have two bots. Essentially, you have a people analyst and a recruiting leader. And this is what we're going to use in this experiment to see if we can design a recruiting capacity plan for 2024. And we'll see how quickly we can do that compared to actually running through the manual process of building spreadsheets. So here is our interface. So for those that haven't used many kind of coding environments, this is using something called VS Code. We're using a basic version of Python. I've already installed all of the requirements. It's relatively straightforward. You can see the whole thing is really built using about 30 lines of code. And now there are a whole bunch of different tutorials that will get you up and running. If there's interest, I can write a tutorial that's geared towards people in HR and recruiting, if that would be relevant. But I really wanted to focus more on the use of this tool to really show how we could potentially evolve this platform to be able to use it over time to solve some of the problems. And so what we can see here is, as we just discussed, we've got three main components. We have the user proxy. So this is a human user, and we set this flag called human input mode to always. What this means is that whenever it asks a question, or whenever it comes to the end of a kind of a cycle, it will wait for a human input. I think this is really important because we want to keep tabs on what the process is doing. We want to be able to input and make sure that we're actually getting good value for money out of the agents, and then we also don't want it to spend too long going down the wrong path and potentially burning a whole bunch of OpenAI credits in the process. So this is our main way of interacting with the models. And then we have two models here. These are called assistants. We have one which I've called analyst. This is our people analyst. And the people analyst uses data to build people analytics projections. The second agent we have here is a recruiter. Now, this is a recruiting leader, and it incorporates recruiting experience into the planning cycle. And that's all of the frame of reference that we've given this. And we are creating this group chat, which is actually bringing together the user, the analyst, and the recruiter into a conversation together. And so there's a little bit of code to get this up and running, but the main thing to be aware of is this message here. So this is the initial prompt. This is how we're going to start this conversation. And it's almost like you go into a conference room and you have two people in there. You say, okay, let's design a recruiting capacity plan for 2024. And so I'm going to run this code and we're going to see what happens. So I'm going to expand this so we can see a little bit more. So let's see. So we've got into our conference room. I said, okay, let's design a recruiting capacity plan for 2024. So the people analyst says, okay, these are all the things that I think we should do as we're thinking about it. So projected growth, turnover, current workforce, recruiting capacity, time to fill, balance load, etc. The recruiting leader is then saying, okay, we also need to think about technology and tools, budget, training, development, and vendor management. The recruiting capacity plan should be a living, evolving document as the organization evolves, so will its staffing needs, and the plan should be flexible enough to change with them. That all makes sense. And now we're going to provide feedback to the conversation. And so we know that there's some kind of sample data points in here, but we can actually add our own data points to this now. So if I go back to the original document, So if we go back to the original document, the initial assumptions we use is that we're starting with a headcount of 500, and we want to grow our headcount by 1% each month. We're also going to see a 1% monthly attrition. And so let's just start there and see what happens. Okay, so we'll add that into here. So let's let's see, projected growth, turnover rate, current workforce, current recruiting capacity. All right, so let's say we currently have 500 heads in the business. We plan to grow headcount by 1% each month and expect attrition to be 1% monthly. Current recruiting capacity, we'll go back and just compare. So in our old model, we actually had 6 recruiters. Across 3 teams. So entry-level hiring. So for entry-level, we have 1 recruiter and they hire 2.54 people a month. Hiring 2.54 heads per month per recruiter. We also have business hiring. They have 2 recruiters and they hire 1.84 heads per recruiter a month. And then the final one is technical hiring, has 3 recruiters and hires 1.45 heads per month per recruiter. Okay, so we've given some feedback to the system and let's see what happens. So what this is doing now is it's taking the feedback that we have given it and it's giving it to both the recruiting leader and to the people analyst. And they're using the context that we given. They're using the context that we gave at the start to figure out what to do next. And so there'll be a slight delay as we send this update to the models. The model interprets what we need and then starts to process it. Okay, so we can see the people analyst is coming back. Okay, so if we have 500 heads, we need to hire 10 heads each for growth and attrition. So our monthly requirement will be 20 hires. So we're going to have to hire 20 people per month, 126 positions per year, or approximately 10 positions a month. So we're currently at 50% of the capacity that we need. So we might think about redistributing resources. So now the recruiting leader comes in. So it might be worth considering shifting a portion to entry-level recruiting. We could also think about using AI to improve efficiency. This is something that suggested it, not me. External support potentially. Maybe we need to hire additional recruiters and some training and development. Okay, so let's distribute hiring equally across the 3 teams and hire more recruiters to ensure we fill the roles by the end of the year. All right, so now we have our output from the latest iteration of the planning cycle. So the people analyst is saying, okay, well, we're going to need to hire 240 roles, which is 20 per month. So each team, therefore, needs to fill 80 positions. So that's 240 positions equally distributed across the 3 teams. So 7 positions per month per team. So entry-level hiring, we're currently, the current recruiter is hiring 2.54. So we need another 2 recruiters in order to fill that position. Or we could add 1 and increase the efficiency of the existing recruiter. That is a viable option, I think, given the way we can scale campus recruiting, for instance, means that actually we could probably stick with 2 total recruiters and fill our entry-level hiring needs. Business hiring, hiring 3.7 per month. So to get to 7, we need another 2 recruiters. We need to double our capacity there. Technical is 4.35 per month. So we actually need to add another 2 recruiters to get our our number up to 7 positions per month. So we need 5 or 6 recruiters and probably a slight improvement in efficiency. So as long as we don't decrease efficiency, we should be on target to hit our goals. Recruit leader wants to make sure that we're aware of onboarding and training. So we do need to think about the onboarding period, budget implications, like what is this actually going to cost the business, market, and monitoring and evaluation. So all the things that you would expect a recruiting leader to actually contribute to this discussion. Okay, so you can see that we actually got to a pretty good estimate of how many recruiters we're going to need to hire in order to fill the capacity for next year. You could see that we were interacting pretty well with the system and that we were getting the answers that we needed. Model that OpenAI currently uses, and so you can see, totally. Today I racked up just over $2 in total costs. That is in running a whole bunch of these exercises before recording this video and then just running this video. This was just refreshed. So my total usage this month with all the experimentation that I've been doing is just under $4. So not really a huge cost compared to what you would actually incur maybe running a 30-minute meeting to get to potentially the same conclusion. But where does this potentially lead? So we looked at the kind of use case where you have a human, they need to get an answer to a question, and so you can actually build these 2 bots and have these bots interact with each other, share their experience, and actually drive towards a decision. And during experimentation, I did things like build a basic game of Pong, where I used a coder bot, which actually wrote the code in Python for me and was able to play Pong once it had finished. I used another one where it actually went online and scraped stock tickers and showed me the difference in stock prices over the course of time. All you need is the ability to plug in the function and have the bot be able to execute something. But where are we going to go moving forward? Well, one of the kind of really interesting new opportunities is thinking about how can you potentially build a company without any employees. And one of the kind of references that I always go back to is Entering Startup Land. This is a book written by one of the venture capitalists in Boston, Jeff Busgang, who's also a Harvard Business School professor. And he includes in there one of the kind of frameworks is the kind of typical team structure for an early stage startup. Now, this is the kind of structure for what a 12-person company that's just launched a product and is starting to kind of release it into the market would potentially look like. And now the team is 12 people, not including the CEO. So we have 4 departments: engineering, product, business development, and sales. The engineering team is the largest. You have 9 people in total, and then 1 each for product, biz dev, and sales. And I guess the CEO slots in to whichever one of those roles they fit the most. One of the things to think about is what happens when you replace most of these roles with bots and use AI to generate a lot of the work. And instead of having people go and execute, the bot will generate a work package for you, the CEO, to go and execute for anything they can't do with an API. And I think this could be really interesting as an experiment, and it may be something that I'll try moving forward. But where we have here the exec team group chat. So as we just did with that very basic use case, you actually have an engineering bot, a product bot, a biz dev bot, and a sales bot, and you're talking to them on a daily basis, almost in your exec stand-ups, and you're explaining what direction you want to take moving forward. And each one of those will then use the context they have and take that away and start to execute on your plans. The engineering one especially is very interesting because when you have different teams, they actually interact as a team, then the teams interact with each other, and then the teams are also managed by the CTO, who also has input from the product, biz dev, and sales. And so you have a lot of these overlapping situations where you're actually getting context from multiple different areas, and you can kind of set this thing up to run and step away, go to sleep, come back the next day, and you may have a finished product, a whole marketing strategy. You may have spent thousands of dollars on AdWords in this optimized campaign, but the possibilities are huge moving forward. So I'm really excited about the prospects. It's obviously very scary because these are people's jobs that we're also talking about. And as someone who's building a platform that helps with recruiting, that could actually completely undermine the business that we're building.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out some of the other videos that we have available. The latest one is going to be posted right here. And if you want to follow along and see when our new videos are released, hit the subscribe button. It's just right down here below. And if you have any other questions or comments or recommendations for any future videos, please drop them in the comments below. I always read the comments. Very excited to keep digging into this area. And thanks very much. Have a great day.